is to ensure that you are well supported, and part of that session which we have scheduled for tonight. And tonight we have Manuka, who's going to be taking you through the next couple of not couple of hours before Freddie and team ask me how many hours. But we have Manuka. Manuka is a qualified chartered accountant. So she has gone through the journey. She understands what is required in the journey. And not only that, she's also works for one of the Big Four audit firms. She also is not only just a chartered accountant. She's actually a qualified career coach, having studied coaching. And one of the recent aspects is that also she was part of the top SICA top 35 under 35. And so this is just a background that this is someone who has truly worked hard towards becoming that also overall competent professional, but also just being a professional out there who continues to make impact in the profession. So we're grateful to have Manuka here, and I'm hopeful and I believe that you'll be able to get some great nuggets out of her. Ask her as many questions. She's here. She is an expert in a field, so she should be able to address any of the sessions you have. And I hope that you enjoy the session and you continue to engage with her. Manuka, welcome, and it's good to have you.
Thank you so much, Ererwani, for having me, and thank you to your team.
Great, I can hear you perfect.
For the night shift, the real night shift.
Indeed.
Thank you so much. So thanks, Ere, for the introduction. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen and get started. It's actually interesting that Ererwani used the words journey, because I wanted to share a little bit of my story with you about why I chose to become a chartered accountant. I made that decision in 2002. So I was just starting out high school, and my parents had this little tradition. On a Sunday afternoon, you would find us outside on the grass, sitting on the lawn, reading the Sunday Times. And the Sunday Times had a careers section where you could see all of the jobs that were being advertised. And let me tell you, I had never seen so many digits. I had never seen so much excitement. And I had already been introduced to accounting because I'd started high school. And literally in that moment, I told my mother, this is what I want to do. In hindsight, I think my mother should have intervened, because is that a good enough reason to pursue a career path? I really don't know. So I have a little reflection in terms of that decision that I made in 2002 up until last year, when a lot of exciting things actually happened in my career. So as I said, 2002, making that somewhat misguided decision. I was, and I'm looking for who said this earlier. I think it was Tina who spoke about what she wants in a mentor. She said she wants a real repeater. And I think Tina is looking for me. I was that student who really struggled in varsity. And at the time, it was really difficult for me to understand why. And I think it's only as an adult, as I understand my purpose and this decision that I made, as I said, that actually didn't have a very solid foundation. So sometimes when life became overwhelming, I didn't know why I was still studying to become a chartered accountant. But nonetheless, in 2012, I joined my employer as a trainee accountant, and really, just like 99% of the people in audit firms or starting out in audit firms, I thought I was there for a very limited time, there to do my 3 years, and then I would figure out what it is that I wanted to do. In 2015, we achieved that target. 13-year-old me, or however old she was, would have been very happy because I became a chartered accountant. I actually decided to stay on with an audit, and I had actually enjoyed it from about second year. So I thought this is something maybe I can do for 1 or 2 years, build my management skills, and that is what I decided to do in 2015. Between 2015 and 2019, things changed somewhat because again, I was on a path, but I wasn't sure about what the outcome was, wasn't sure about what the purpose was. And in 2019, I had many conversations at the time because I wasn't sure where I was going. And ultimately, one of the people who mentor me actually made a suggestion about something that they had observed that I was passionate about. So I was passionate about mentoring. And at the time, they then said, why can't you spend a little bit more time mentoring? So that was 2018. And in 2019, I actually said to them, I want a skill or a vocation that goes with this thing that I am passionate about. So I want to study coaching, number one. Number two, I want you to pay for me to attend this course. And then lastly, when I come back, I want you to reduce the hours that I spend with clients so that I can spend time coaching people. And I have no doubt there are people who thought this was an amazing and probably career limiting move because I worked in the audit function in a client facing business unit. And I was now saying, look, I don't want to earn this much revenue anymore. I want to spend half of my time developing and growing people. I did that for the next few years and really the experience of a lifetime. But unfortunately, in 2021, I felt that the road in terms of me and audit had run its course. Probably 8 years too long. If I think back to 2012 and the fact that I never intended to stay on. And I was confident that I made the right decision, and I left the firm and I did something else for about a year. But in 2023, life sort of happened, and I ended up actually rejoining my previous employer. So I rejoined them last year in January of 2023, still in the audit function, but in a different role. And it has really been such an amazing learning experience. Last year, I achieved a career milestone. So I became a partner in October of last year. And this was something really that I had wanted somewhere between 2015 and 2019, because when you are enjoying something, apply in your mind, you want to do as well as possible in that regard. And that happened for me last year. As it is said, I was part of last year's top 35 under 35. The presentation that I've just shown you is actually from my top 35 submission. And this is a grainy picture of me at the age of 12 or 13. If I ever see you guys in person, I will carry this so you can actually see what I looked like. And this is me sometime last year during the top 35 journey. And my reflection at the time is it feels like a lot of my professional journey, it felt like I was lost or I am wandering. I don't know where I'm going. And I mentioned that a few times when I spoke about my journey and finding my purpose. Developing people is one of my core or primary purposes. And I'm glad to have found that along this journey. 13-year-old me wouldn't have known what a career coach is, but somehow the path that I've been on has led me here. So the quote says, not all those who wander are lost. So there's me in grade 1. So a few of the pictures. So this girl in every shape or form, she may not have known it, but she wasn't necessarily lost. As Ererwani mentioned, my name is Manuka Mate, and today I will be taking you through a session for goal setting. So, as someone mentioned earlier, 7 more months of the program, and we just want to ensure that you are equipped for this journey that you're on. So, starting out with a code, every instruction we give, every course of action we set, every result we desire starts with the same thing: a decision. So you've decided to be here tonight. You could have been anywhere. You could have been with your clients. You could have been working overtime, but you've indulged us to give us a little bit of your time. So for some of you, you wouldn't have encountered coaching before. So I would like to explain what that is before we commence. So in coaching, we're partnering with people to help them to clarify their visions and goals and to build actionable plans in line with those goals. I'm going to hold you accountable in our follow-up sessions. So I'll show you our journey just now, but you will be seeing me at least one more time this year. And we will be building on the conversation that we are having today. As a person who is in coaching, you are inherently resourceful. So no matter how you got here today, whether you repeated this or that, you all qualified to be sitting in this space the same way. So you are all resourceful and can think of ways to navigate challenges and come up with solutions. Sometimes you just need someone to listen or to ask you the right questions. And then lastly, this is a very collaborative process. I was very excited to hear you guys engaging in the first session. So I'm confident that you guys are a very engaged group. So moving on to our terms of engagement. So I wrote this down, but as I said, I'm not concerned at all. So number one, please interact, share, and ask questions. So I cannot see the chat at this point, but I will pause at certain intervals just to engage with you guys. We have a lot of polls that are coming up. So we really want to understand what is it that is on your minds. Ererwana and I have worked together to really determine what it is that we think is relevant for you, and we need your help in terms of that so that we can see what the year looks like. Point two there is to revisit the questions from the sessions. So you don't need to memorize whatever it is that we're going through here today. This will be shared with you. And when you're able to, please look at the questions so that you can think about it. And however it is that you unpack things, do you write? Do you talk? How is it that you navigate challenges? And then lastly, debrief the questions with your mentor. Now, session one was about your mentors. Are you using the people within this program? And if you are, we are having a session with them to equip them to help you debrief what we discuss in coaching. So we will have the coaching conversation, and your mentor will help you to unpack it if you have so chosen. If you also decide you wouldn't like a mentor on this program, please find a way to ensure that you are discussing this with someone. Ere earlier said, you can have your own mentor. It doesn't have to be someone in the program, but you will see later on, I talk a lot about support as a tool for success. So the question here is, can you debrief these questions with whoever supports you? All right, I may take a pause because I literally cannot see the chat. So I'm just going to take a moment just to make sure that we are all together. Okay. City Press was also quite hot with the advertisements back in the day. I'm not going to tell you how old I was, but I did tell you which year, so you'll figure out how many gray hairs I have. Hey. All right, team. So I think we can then carry on. So Okay, so I speak about journeying and I speak about a path and I speak about where we're going. So where are we today? Ere gave me a scope and said, please talk about goal setting. And I thought this was an opportune time to merge two topics because I believe that for most of you here, you know a lot about goal setting, you know about SMART goals, but something we don't talk enough about is self-beliefs and how that impacts the goals that we set. So I want us to merge these conversations. Era also said confidence as stress management is something that she wants us to think about. So I believe she has a date that is earmarked for later in the program where we will be discussing those two topics. As you can see, this road is long, and as I mentioned, is as other things come up, the team will then decide what else is it that you need support in. Okay, so understanding the importance of setting goals. I can't remember who said it, but someone said a statement and said, why do you need a mentor? And the word why was very strong. And why is it that we're setting goals? So we want clarity and direction. We want a clear path in terms of what we're doing. We want to be motivated and accountable to someone. Accountability is also a word that came out a lot in session number 1. And we want to grow and develop. So holistically, these are things that we want, whether it's in the space of this program or otherwise. This is why we set goals. Sometimes we forget to, but this is why we set goals. So I have a little image here that is called the golden circle or the golden ratio. I first heard about it in a book written by Simon Sinek. And he says when we are going through decisions or how we talk to people or anything that we do, there are three things that we would be considering is the why, the how, and the what. So for me, going back to my story about how I decided or chose my profession, I very quickly decided what I wanted to be a chartered accountant. I very quickly decided why I was promised a lot of money that to date has not been delivered. But the question in terms of your why that Simon Sinek talks about is how strong is your why? So when your why is strong, you absolutely know and understand why you're doing what you're doing. And that is sort of a anchor or a guide. Things are going to get tricky. We're not going to assume life will always be perfect. But when those things happen, do you have a strong enough why that helps you? Because I know why I am suffering as much as I am today because of my why. So today I actually had a audit committee earlier today. So I was up at 4 a.m. And then today I'm here with you at 8 p.m. and I still have to be an Energizer bunny. And what is my why? I said to you earlier, I love people development. So I wouldn't be anywhere else but here with all of you. So when we know our why, somehow that helps us because that anchors us at all times. So Simon says, first, you think of why, then how, and then what. And sometimes it's possible in life that we're muddling up those things and therefore we don't have a strong enough anchor. So our conversation today is going to be anchored around these three concepts. And as I mentioned to you earlier, a very interactive session that I want us to have. So I will be doing a few polls and for us to gather data, for you to get thinking, for us to start engaging. I didn't mention earlier on, but should you want to share something, please do put up your hand. As I mentioned, I will come back to the chat at certain intervals. If your hand is already up, it is all the better because then we can get to you. So we are starting out here with a little bit of a conversation. So I would like you to scan this QR code, and we are going to be unpacking a few questions. As I said, coaching is about asking you a lot of questions, and then unpacking those questions and answers. So on the screen, you've got a QR code that is going to take you to this poll. And the question that I'm asking you guys, how do you feel when you achieve success? Why is that feeling important to you? Letu is my spirit animal, says in Ramaphosa's economy, we don't work for passion. I've been saying that since 2017. I'm glad everyone is joining the boat, because certainly things are getting tough, and passion doesn't pay the bills, absolutely. Even me, I have a day job, guys. Our why is the Chankuras. Oh, you guys are my besties for real. I am from Limpopo. That's Tina. I'm from Limpopo as well, Tina. Oh, you guys were talking about a different topic. Sounds like witchcraft. Last back, we were playing, not reading the city press. I completely understand that. Yes, I grew up a nerd. So I was at home on a Sunday afternoon reading with my parents. I wasn't out playing with all the cool kids like you. Yes, Letu is just like me, says they read a lot of city press as well. Guys, I've seen the word Njolo too many times in this conversation today. Your employer was the one, absolutely agreed. I think they've set me on a trajectory which I am ever grateful for. So absolutely agree with that. Okay, so a few of you are already typing. I'm not going to close the chat, but I'm going to read one or two of your answers. So how do you feel when you achieve success? Why is that feeling important? Someone says, I feel relieved, maybe because I'm always on survival mode, and they are laughing. The feeling is rewarding. I feel happy, peace of mind, satisfaction. Sure. Someone said vain. That's an interesting one. I feel vain. Um, Proud, relieved, sense fulfilled. Okay, all right. So many of you are sharing similar answers. Please do continue to share that data. As I said, this is very important for us to understand where your minds are at in order to tailor something that is appropriate to you. Obakeng says this team loves Mjolo. I'm saying that because this is the third time now that that word has come up. I don't know what your lecturers are going to say, and not to get into trouble, so I will not comment either. Okay. So that was question number one that we just wanted to go through in terms of, what success feels like or looks like to you. And that really also guides our why. So I'm asking you these questions to help you to solidify your why. So yes, money might be a factor in the economy and climate that we are in, as well as other things. But we also want you to live a happy and fulfilled life. So that is also important. I'm going to jump to the second question in this segment of why. Thank you so much for all your answers thus far. As I mentioned, if you want to come in, please do put up your hand, except if you want to talk about dating, things I know nothing about. Okay, I'm going to jump to question number 2, and I hope you are still all on that app, Slido. And we are going to go to then our next question. Okay. My apologies. I think I just need to stop you guys from responding on the first one and then be able to move on to the second one. So thank you so much for all your input there. And we're going to move then to question number 2. So very positive feelings in terms of what success feels like. The person who said vain, anonymous, do you mind sharing that with us? Why is it that success makes you feel vain? Okay. If you'll please scan again. And we're moving on to our next questions. What challenges and obstacles have you overcome in your journey? Why were they worth overcoming? There's some few words that I think that were shared in the chat. Someone said they feel accomplished. Someone said they feel excited. That is amazing. What challenges or obstacles have you overcome? Failure. I kept reminding myself that the goal is to be a CA. I get you, anonymous. Self-doubt. Sure, you are right on topic. Having to attempt CTA 3 times, and the ramifications that come with not being successful on the first attempt. Failure, fatigue, a clean slate to try again at the next level, multiple failures, imposter syndrome. I needed to realize that this is actually who I am. I worked hard to get here. Stepping outside of my comfort zone, not feeling good enough. Getting signed off in my articles was a major hurdle. So a lot of the comments around failure, there are a lot of good comments about negativity, proving myself that I am capable of being great. Someone talks about depression, laziness. That's an interesting one. Thank you for sharing that. A lack of confidence, financial difficulties. And yeah, a lot of people are mentioning APC as one of the challenges and obstacles, balancing work and studies. I'm going to try and move on to the last question in this segment. In order for us to move closer to your why or a stronger why, what are your long-term goals and aspirations? So I'm about to close this segment, but if there's anyone who wants to put their hand up or come on the microphone, please feel free to do so. I see a lot of you are under the alias unknown. Please grab the mic and let's chat. I would love to hear your voices and add color to the conversation. All right. I saw an answer I could absolutely relate to. This person said they want to be a qualified wife, and you know what? I get that. Figiswa, you've got your hand up. Good evening. Figiswa, please go ahead.
Okay. So I've got a question. I'm not sure if it's the right time to ask, but just thinking of these questions where you are looking at your papers and you're asking your why, like those three questions that you need to ask yourself. I've actually been battling with this. I've realized I don't know if most people, especially like, African people, if most of us have had that type of struggle where, especially if you are a firstborn, like when I think I was actually trying to assess to sort of like get an understanding of who am I, who am I as a person, like the real me outside of the responsibilities. Because, growing up, all you ever hear or were told or you saw was the responsibilities that you have. And I think then you sort of like you don't have a room to actually see who you are and understand who you are because you've already been given a role to play, and it's hard to get out of it. And even the decisions that you are making, you realize that those decisions are mostly based on making other people feel okay and good because that's all you have known, and it has become a part of you that it's even hard now to take that cloak off and actually assess and ask yourself the real questions, because deep down you're kind of not happy, but it's hard to now pinpoint and say, okay, what is it? Who am I? What if outside of all these things, I wonder who would I have wanted to become, and what type of things or type of what role in life would I have wanted to play outside of everything else that became me, because it was a role that I sort of found myself in. So so my question is, how is it possible? That's the first question, is it possible to sort of like dig deep within you and find that is that true essence of who you are, despite your circumstances that you have known and you have actually embraced and become and allowed those things to become you, when you have a sense that it's actually not, there's something that's missing, but you are struggling to actually pinpoint what it is. And the next question will be, how would you go about doing that? And is there a time when you feel like it's too late, and should you just carry on? So yeah, that's my question. I don't know if it's the right time to ask it or not. Thank you.
Figiswa, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for being honest. So many people are relating to what you are sharing. And I don't know if when you listen to my story, maybe you heard snippets of, some of the things that you are talking about. So I'll answer question number 2 first. When is it too late? It isn't too late. I coach a lot of people who are maybe in their 40s or 50s. And the first question that I ask a new client in session number 1, that is normally very scary, is, what do you believe your purpose is? And if, like you, for whatever reason, you have not allowed yourself to answer that question, it then is a little bit of a mirror or a reflection to say, I don't know, I have suppressed it, or I know, but I don't want to explore. Because what if I am sitting here today in the EPC program, preparing for APC, my last big milestone to become a CA? And what if this isn't my purpose? What if this isn't my purpose? And that is a reality for many people. You spoke about the economic climate. We have to work until we become those housewives that everyone is speaking about. I have to work until my husband comes and finds me. So the reality is that um, a lot of people are afraid to ask the question. A lot of people are afraid to walk towards that. So I wanted to say, firstly and foremost, that you're not alone. A lot of people your age and older can relate to exactly what you have said. Is it possible under the circumstances, and you spoke about being the eldest, for many of us coming from certain backgrounds, not economically advanced. We had to get out of the hood, literally. And if you are older than your other siblings, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. And I think the one thing that I want to say to you, so it's never too late, number one. Number two is you have to be okay with the decisions that you make. Your siblings are going to grow up, Figisa, and one day you can't say to them, "I became a chartered accountant," for you, because that could mean you're carrying a lot of resentment. So I don't want you to be afraid to walk in that direction. So I just wanted to share that with you. But I'm happy to share a little bit more about this, whether in a future conversation or in the chat group. Figisa, I just wanted to check before I move on. How are you feeling?
I'm good. As I was saying, I'm actually in that space where I'm questioning everything, and I'm assessing myself, and I've actually realized I was a people pleaser, but then I started seeing where it's coming from, and yeah, as you as you were saying that with being a CA and stuff, and yeah, it's also part of the things that I was looking at myself as to why am I struggling with this thing? Like, if it's something else, I don't have a problem doing it. I'm not lazy, but somehow I'm dragging myself. What is it? So I'm in that space of us sitting down and fully just be about myself and not worry that I need to take care of others. I need to make money so that, yeah, and try not to feel bad about that as well. So yeah.
Lisa, thank you so much for sharing. And then I just want to make a last comment to the group. So Figiso said something about being a people pleaser. In the earlier conversation, we spoke about boundaries, we spoke about work and how you're going to juggle studies. And I think that's a very real reality this year is how are you able to put yourself first? So if you're already aware today that you tend to put others before you, that is something that you're going to have to be very, very mindful of. So someone made a comment to choose yourself. If your cup is not full, you are not able to pour into others. So as much as you want to work hard and help your siblings and help your family, and help your colleagues and help everyone, there's also you, and you also need to be taken care of. So this year more than ever, you guys are going to have to be so selfish. So thank you so much, Figiswa, for sharing. We have a whole lot of points about goals and aspirations, a lot of points that everyone has shared. And I want you guys to think about the why of why you're doing this. Is your why strong enough? Is your why enough to get you through this? And your why is something that you are going to have to remind yourself of a lot of times. Someone talks about influence. Someone talks about financial stability. Absolutely important. Having work flexibility, certainly a point, fulfillment. Yeah, there are a lot of other points, but absolutely all of those points are so vital. So thank you so much for sharing that. So I'm just going to move on from there. Thank you, team, for the engagement on that. So I mentioned to you earlier that there's going to be a bit of homework that I'm just going to ask you to unpack with your mentors or whoever you feel comfortable sharing with. So our first question, I said we're talking about 3 concepts. Concept number 1 was our why, and the questions on the screen are exactly what I've just shared with you on our poll while I was gathering data. And this is our first piece of homework. So we've shared a little bit on the chat in terms of why these things are important to each of us. But I want each of you to remind yourself of what the big why is. Can you strengthen your why? Can you remind yourself of your why on a regular basis so that when this year gets challenging, and it inevitably will, you have a reminder that on the 14th of May, I committed and I said my why is that I want to influence people, or I want to become economically free for my family, as someone said. So that was why. We're now moving swiftly along to the how. So we're on step 2 of 3. So Tina is saying that is very important. Absolutely, having a strong why is vital. Yeah, so we're now moving on to how, and this is the second piece that I'm excited about. And I suspect you guys have made my job a little bit easy because incidentally, I heard a lot in conversation number 1 that was already talking to the points in this segment. Okay, so in a moment, I am going to share on my screen another little poll to get us chatting. And this one, as I said, is now focused on the how. What is it that we're going to do, or how are we going to go about this? All right, a bit of a good news story. What are you most excited about, APC? I think if I start a dating club within this chat group, could become a very rich lady. I could become the lady that I was talking about. Someone asked if I give one-on-one coaching. Yes, I do. I will share my details at the end. Thank you so much for expressing an interest. You shall be found. We have relationship specialists in here. You see what I'm talking about? Tina, girl, if I knew your last name, I will keep a close eye on you. I don't know your last name. So yeah, can't watch you. A lot of nice answers. Please share indeed. Absolutely. Hlonipile, I will share on the last slide. I have my contact details. I've given you my full name. I just haven't given you my address. I'm going to give you my WhatsApp number. Like, I'm going to give you everything. So everyone says they're so excited to pass, to finish, to rise again. That famous SMS. Guys, does the SMS still come at 4 p.m.? Putting the journey behind me, Mama, I made it, passing the exam. So everyone has an idea of what that looks like when you get to that point. Still a lot of you typing, but I think I want us to be able to visualize what the end outcome of this journey looks like. To be certified, to learn. Yeah, similar answers. WhatsApp number, please. For professional reasons, obviously, TM guest. All right. So Obakeng says last year it came at 1620. Very sad moment in 23. Apart from, you guys can already guess the end of the sentence. All right. What are your fears regarding APC and why? So let's just go into that. And again, I'm going to welcome a hand. If anyone wants to come in on their fears, please come in on this. Apologies, I know you are probably still typing on the other chat, and then this might skew our results, but not prepared enough. Having to go through this again, we regret repeating same mistakes. Making it an identity. For everyone who has not been successful in the past, whether it's at this or something else, it shapes your mindset a little bit because you almost can taste what failure was like. I remember failing CTA. I'll never forget. Like I forgot which subject I failed in second year or whatever, but I remember failing CTA because that was the first time that I felt like I gave something my absolute all and I didn't make it. That subject I passed and failed in second year. I deserved it. I didn't do my part. But failing CTA really felt like something else. And the most difficult thing was, how do I mentally convince myself that attempt number 2 will be different? And this is not just if you failed or not failed, but what does your mind tell you about what you can and cannot do? So KNN says, I'm still not over that pain. So it is a very painful experience, or it can be, which is why I wanted us to explore that conversation. So thank you so much all for sharing. So as I said, I want us to have or segue into a different conversation that is actually critical when you're setting goals. So, what are self-limiting beliefs? Some of you might have heard of this concept and others of you not, but it's the negative thoughts or attitudes that we hold about ourselves, our abilities, what our potential is. It can be a psychological barrier. It prevents us from pursuing things, taking risks, or even reaching our potential. Tinashe said there, sometimes you lose your confidence. Someone said earlier, I made a note. I heard a comment that would be a very, very good example of a self-limiting belief. So someone shared, when you were talking about mentorship, they asked a question about availability of the mentors. The specific comment they made is that they are nervous about feeling like a burden to their mentor. Now, if you have this belief, then it guides what you then or how you then operate in that relationship. So if you enter the mentorship relationship believing that you are a burden to that person, that can then guide how often you're asking for things, how you are showing up to that conversation. So the person has not even been picked yet. I don't know who said that, but you're already assuming that you will be a burden to them. And these are examples of certain thoughts and beliefs that limit how we operate and how we think. So self-limiting beliefs result in a lot of negative talk. We tend to overgeneralize and say, oh gosh, everyone fails APC. Or did you see the results for 2023? Did you see the results specifically for African people? So a lot of assumptions, worst case scenario is normally what we look at, and it's very fear-based. So I did something intentional with the poll just now because I did a positive and a negative question. And I don't know, for each of us, one might be stronger than the other. So I can visualize what 4 p.m. looks like next year on a certain date. but I can also visualize the negative of what if it doesn't go well. And the question, and it may be different for all of us, but what pushes or drives us? So for some people, the negative or fear-based might be a good enough driver, but for some of us, it may be debilitating to focus on that. Negative self-beliefs sound like the following examples: I'm not smart enough, I don't deserve success, I cannot change. Even if I try, I will fail. And it really limits our opportunities, our self-esteem. We procrastinate as a result. We're stressed and so anxious, and it potentially hinders our growth. So I just want you guys to type in the chat, but have you heard of limiting self-beliefs before today? I am curious. So Unknown says there's no closure. You're alone and you have to try again. So Unknown, interesting question. Are you alone? Please come back and tell us. Tina says we need a mental support group for all the repeaters. So for some of you, you have heard of limiting self-beliefs, and for some of you, you haven't. Thank you for sharing that. I wanted us to raise a little bit of awareness about limiting self-beliefs and how we go about addressing that. So Tsungi says, I'm very aware of limiting self-beliefs. Tsungi, do you mind telling me, do you know how to address them? So let's go into some steps. So how do we manage our beliefs? The first thing is awareness, as I said, and that's why I was asking you guys, have you heard of this concept before? Tsungi, please come in. I see you had your hand up. Good evening. The microphone is yours. Tsungi?
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you now, Tsungi. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm so great. The microphone is all yours.
Yes, so I was just saying, I think I'm aware of limiting self-beliefs, and one of the key things to be able to overcome them is you need to be aware of what it is and possibly the triggers to it, because sometimes you can't
Absolutely.
confront what you don't know.
Mm.
So I think the first thing is, like you pointed out, it's awareness and realizing how you can then help yourself to get out of it, because also sometimes it starts with self.
Inge, would you say you have mastered this?
Not at all. I think it's a daily step, because every day brings its own challenges, and you think you've learned how to deal with A, and it presents itself in the form of B.
Thank you for sharing that. I think absolutely you're mentioning a few of the points on my slide. So we'll get to that in a moment. Ayabulela, you had your hand up. Do you want to come in?
Oh, hi, Manuka. No, it's just that what Tsungi was sharing now just made me think of a podcast that I was listening to, and just an episode that was basically talking about getting to know your inner critic. So, this little voice inside that always tells you, all the negative thoughts that are not even true about yourself. And it was just talking about how to deal with that and how to address that. And one of the points was that identify it, give it a name to say it's Wendy or whoever you want to call the person. Communicate with your inner critic. When a thought comes that says, what if you fail again and all that stuff, say no, it's not happening again, like respond back. So it really just starts with identifying it and knowing that this is not true. And yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Ayabulela, for sharing. How are you feeling this evening?
I'm feeling okay. Yeah, the emotions are really up and down, but on a high this evening. Yeah, you just really try to work as hard as you can to keep yourself motivated. Yeah, so that's where I am at. Yeah, thank
Can
you.
you share with us what's causing your high? Maybe we can enjoy it with you.
Um, well, I've just been really consuming a lot of positive content, focusing on that this week. So in my drives home, I put on a podcast on, something positive. Um, yeah, that's how I've been doing it and staying off social media quite a lot. So that's been helping. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ayabulela, for sharing. So Ayabulela spoke about the inner critic and silencing that. She also spoke about consuming a lot that is positive. One of the things that I shared with the Endunamo team when we had our first conversation was just about the fact that, research shows that so much that goes into academic success. And sometimes we focus on, the working hard, being disciplined, prioritizing, all of that stuff, and sometimes not some of the other stuff. So it's so amazing that Endunamo is investing in your wellness and allowing you guys to have these types of conversations to help you in your academic journey. So I'm going to go through the 6 points. Tinashe mentioned actually 2 of them, but the first one absolutely is being aware. So do you even know that you have an inner critic, what he or she sounds like, and then how to shut them down? So that was why I wanted to raise awareness today, because without realizing it, there's a lot that's going into in your mind that is shaping how you see the world and then how you respond to that. So an awareness that some of your beliefs are negative, are limiting, and not always valid. The second point is to challenge your negative thoughts. So is what I'm thinking evidence-based? Is it fact-based? If I say I don't have a chance, what is that based on? Is there evidence or a fact that shows that I don't have a chance? Why does the person next to me have, why do I believe the person next to me has the chance and I don't? So think of the word facts a lot. Facts and evidence. So I need to disprove my thoughts using facts and evidence. The next one is positive affirmations. And depending on what kind of person you are, you can decide sort of how you want to do this. But replacing the negative thoughts with positive comments. I'm not much of an affirmation person, but I've realized recently there's one specific comment that actually gets me out of bed. It is so cold in the morning. I've had to be up before 5 a.m. for longer than I care to remember. And the comment that's gotten me out of bed is, to whom much is given, much is expected. So I have to do, or I have to wake up to be able to fulfill all of my various responsibilities that I said I wanted, by the way. So I need to affirm myself to get myself out of bed. But what are the affirmations or things that you're telling yourself? I'm dedicated and committed to my studies. I learn from my mistakes. I use them as a stepping stone to success. I'm confident in my knowledge and my skills. And sometimes you won't feel like this. And if you're not confident, then you need to prepare more or do something different. I'm proud of my efforts and my achievements. Setting realistic goals, the core of our conversation, as we said, when you set goals, it helps you to build your confidence, demonstrate progress. You're going to break them down into small, achievable milestones, so that as you go, you are starting then to realize some of those thoughts and beliefs were not valid. Identifying triggers, Tanesha spoke about this. But what is it that makes me get back into the space where I feel that I am negative? Is it when I spend a lot of time with my friends from a specific group and the tone tends to be negative, and therefore after I'm with them, I really don't feel like I can do this. And if you know and understand your triggers, you can ensure or start moving away from that, because you don't want yourself in a space where 9 times out of 10 you're going to walk away from there feeling not so good about yourself. The last point was seeking support. And I think it goes without saying that within this group, you guys have a lot of support in terms of, your caretakers, the professional team, yourselves, your peer group. So if you like someone that you heard from today, gravitate towards that person. What Ayabulela shared, you think, oh my goodness, what podcast is she listening to that's got her on this high? So seek support within this group to try and manage those beliefs going forward, because that is going to be a critical success factor. Okay. The crowd you hang around with matters the most. Very true. I must stay away. So absolutely, your support system, guys, is so important. So I hope you're looking around amongst yourselves to see who it is that you are, enjoying their aura. I like that person. I like that person. Okay. So I want to do one little last question. So we're going to go back to our little poll. So this is our next little piece of homework, and it's going to talk about a few specific points. Tinashe said we need to be able to understand what the potential triggers are. And you want to do that. You don't want to be shocked when it happens. You want to say, I'm mentally prepared for this. I expected this to happen. So what are the obstacles that you think you could anticipate? And we want to plan for those. To whom much is given, much is expected. Absolutely. If you guys keep me up all night, I don't know how relevant that will be in the morning, whether I will be able to get up, but absolutely. Motivation and time management, negative thoughts, discouragement, balancing work, family, and studies, falling behind, low energy levels, low energy levels, discouraged by possible failure. So that's a self-limiting thought, potentially. Fatigue. Okay. All right. So a lot of you are sharing in the same concepts. So Tina says, if I do not go and run, it impacts my day. So Tina knows how to manage herself and keep herself perky like she has been all evening. So not having study leave. Okay, so that's a very important one. When you guys were speaking earlier, someone spoke, I think it was Ariel who said, your employer contributes a lot to this journey or success. So maybe two things that I want to share on them. So the first one is in line with what I just said, to whom much is given, much is expected. And this year, the discipline levels that are required to ensure that you're able to fulfill the responsibilities that you have by day that are paying your bills, and balancing those with your needs. So being able to be selfish. The reason why I'm mentioning point one is because you should be able to deliver on your work and then be able to put the firm boundary in terms of your studying. So it's very important that you are not, how do I put this? prioritizing your studies, but you actually weren't doing your work. So there's two parts of this. So to whom much is given, much is expected. So the better you are at making sure that you're working consistently throughout this year on your work as well as your studies, so that there doesn't come a point where you say, I need to go off on Thursday and, but you haven't done your work. So I think that's very, very important. So these challenges or obstacles, you need to anticipate them. You need to communicate with the people that you work with. You need to communicate with your family. A lot of people spoke about family commitments. Fatigue, you need to be really, really planning what is important. For me, during difficult or pressing times, I just try and see what is it that is taking away energy from me. So I need to do the stuff that allows me to replenish my energy. The stuff that depletes energy, I'm kind of on pause for now. I am going to not do that for now. So Ede says, paying it forward, make it easy to ask for time off from work. Absolutely. So you need to, this is the all-rounder year, guys. You have to be delivering on your work. Otherwise, it becomes difficult when you then want to say, no, I need time off in this point or this instance. Work-life balance, time is so limited, fatigue does kick in. Absolutely. So I read something interesting a few years back, and I'll see if I can find it before we close the chat. But they were speaking about time management, and they said time management is actually not about time. It is about energy. So if you manage your energy, that translates into all areas of your life. Because if you are fatigued and tired and not able to show up as you should for your work, then you need to go off and you need to study, and there's family and there's whatever else that does impact you. So that's something I think I read in the Harvard Business Review. So they say focus on ensuring that in each day or in each period, there is stuff that you are doing for yourself to make yourself a little bit happy. Tina spoke about running. So if she doesn't run, she's not a good person. So if it's just that run and you know that's your happy place, when times are very tough, I want to watch like a series, like 25 minutes of something funny, and I can then absolutely cope with my day. So Tsungi says, very, very open in communicating. Absolutely. Everyone is fighting for your time and prioritizing. All right. Thank you so much. So agreed with all of those points. So here, yet again, I'm raising awareness so that we can start to manage these things, communicate. And when we speak about people, it's not just work, it's not your colleagues, it's your family as well. For those of you, who are in relationships, how are the people you're in relationships with supporting you? How are your friends supporting you? So ensuring that you're communicating with everyone who's important to you and how they show up for you and support you in the next 7 months. All right. Okay, so this, if I'm not mistaken, is the last question in this segment as well as all the segments. So we've spoken about the challenges, but what are you going to do to prioritize? What are you going to do to stay motivated? It's a few questions coming in already. Commit to the program. Absolutely. You guys have such a supportive team behind you. Do the work. Being disciplined. I'll be selfish with my time. We spoke about that a bit earlier. Time management. Stay connected with the mentor. Work consistently. Have a work-life balance. Absolutely. filling my cup with positivity. You're going to get Aya to fill up your cup, scheduling everything that I need to. So these are very important points and are very, very crucial in terms of how you are going to set these goals. So thank you so much for participating in that specific poll. Once again, as I said, I wanted to get us chatting and you guys have absolutely shared so much. Someone in the chat says, discipline myself, reminding myself of the why. Absolutely. I'm in a different auditing space and I am from a private firm. It's difficult to adjust with different management styles. Every time someone does something petty, I just completely shut down. To make matters worse, I am vitamin B deficient. So unknown user, please make sure that you are trying to address your health issues as well, because if you're aware of something and it can potentially be addressed, hopefully you can do that so that you're not having an additional challenge as this year progresses. In terms of adjusting to different management styles, I absolutely relate to what you're saying. I also work in an environment where I work with different people on a very regular basis. I also have dual responsibilities. So I am split in many directions, which is why I was saying earlier about the to whom much is given. Working with different people is about understanding that specific person. And if you need to ask direct questions about how you should be showing up when you work with them, that is for the benefit of the working relationship. And then I suppose in this context, please make it applicable or specific to your studies. So here is our last piece of homework, which is exactly what we were looking at in the poll. So just 3 things that I want you all to consider and apply your minds to. Identify your obstacles. You don't want an obstacle to pop up in 6 months, and it's something that you could have prepared for. Mentally, communication, whatever it is, to say, this is what I anticipate. I anticipate that it will be a challenge for the people that I work with. How do I better communicate? How do I do proactive management of this process? Developing a bit of resilience. How are you prioritizing? How are you motivating? How are you focusing? And then lastly, I said, who is your support system and what are your resources? You need to be able to know when things get rough, not if things get rough, when things get rough. Who are you going to go and confide in? So this is your second piece of reflection homework. Is the how of goal setting is know your obstacles, prioritize, motivate, and focus. I literally have a short list, but this is for very tough times where I actually need a reminder of when I'm too much in my head, what is it that's going to get me out of there? It's the small run Tina spoke about. It's the 5 minutes of music before I do something extremely challenging, but those are things that help me come out of my mind. And then lastly, who's your support system and what are your resources? Lean into the team that you have here in this program. Use the resources that they are giving you. Use the advice that they are giving you. We are on our last step. I am about to land the plane very safely. We are now on our final step that says what. As I said, I didn't want the focus of this conversation to be SMART goals. So many of you, most of you have heard what SMART goals are about. So it's a specific, clearly defined goal. It's measurable. When you come back, this is how you'll measure it. It's achievable and attainable. It's relevant and it matters to you. And you have specific deadlines that you have for that particular goal. So, what are the specific reminders that I want to give you in terms of the what or that goal that you are setting? So, if we start here in the middle, break it down. So, you're going to have a big goal and a big why. And a lot of you that is passing the EPC and passing APC. And you have a bigger why. You know what is in it for you and why you need this. But what are the small goals and milestones that you need to set up for this year on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis? What is it that you are going to be required to do in order to achieve the big goal? I spoke just now about time frames. So define it in terms of time periods. And, this is what you want to do every week, or this is what you need to do monthly, and revisit it according to those time frames. We spoke just now about resources. Clearly define these so that you are not how would I say it, wasting? But the worst thing that could happen is if these things exist and you are the one who's not utilizing it. So it absolutely exists. They've told you about it. You just haven't taken advantage of that. So understand, listen to your team, your peers in terms of what is available. We spoke now just about obstacles and challenges. What are your constraints and how are you going to manage those? A huge, huge pillar. I was so, so happy to hear this word, accountability. I shared with you guys earlier what coaching is, and a huge point is accountability. In this program, we might be doing it a little bit different because I'm not speaking to each and every one of you on a one-on-one basis, but you are accountable to your mentor. You are accountable to yourself. You're accountable to your study group. So find someone who can hold you accountable in terms of how the next 7 months goes to ensure that you are as successful as possible. It's so amazing when you don't have to walk a path or a journey alone, to be able to look left and look right, and there's someone right there next to you. A plan is only as good as the person who is controlling it. You need to monitor it. So as I said, is set time frames, monitor and adjust it. So if you're having a bad month and you haven't met all of the things that you wanted to do, so as an example, you have a set amount of hours you want to study or a set amount of volume that you want to get through, and you have not. So if I don't meet my target in month 1, I need to be able to adjust for month 2, because if I fall behind for many, many months, at the end of month 5 or month 7, it is going to be showing. So we need to be able to monitor how you're going and then adjust it accordingly to ensure that you can still get to your overall target. The last point there is to celebrate milestones. And I've listened to all of you speak today, and I know it's so, so challenging sometimes to be able to stop and be kind to yourself. If you finish an assignment today, tomorrow go to a movie or a drink or whatever it is that makes you happy. So find whatever your small milestones are. Is it assignments? When Ferdy says this is your final result and you're ready for APC, is that a milestone? Is that something we should celebrate? So do something small for yourself. And again, whatever it is that makes you happy to be able to carry on this journey. So I'm reading 1 or 2 points. Unknown says, thank you so much. Very insightful session. Thank you so much. I've realized that habits I've formed over the years have actually been my biggest obstacle. Trying weekly to form new routines and new habits, still struggling. That's what I need to work on this year to help me achieve my goals for the year. Meeting daily little habits, the little steps towards my target. Thank you so much, Vigisa, for sharing that. So there's the big goal and the small goals to get to that point. All right, so Obakeng is asking an important question. How is it possible to celebrate milestones? It feels like most of the time one is moving on to the next thing. So I'll say from my personal perspective, it's so easy to move literally without ever realizing that you're achieving anything. And I think the past 6 months for me have been like that. I shared that I reached a big career milestone. And that big career milestone has come at, I think, a little bit of a big price, because I do find that I have no time to myself very recently, and that's something I need to work on. Guys, the person who muted me, you're going to be in so much trouble. Ere, please deal with them when you come back. My apologies for that. So I move from thing to thing, from milestone to milestone, seldom taking time off. And I'm finding that I am working, whatever it is, 7 days a week for very prolonged periods. But my happiness factor also goes down when I'm doing that. So yes, the first 2 or 3 weeks I can get through that, and I'm naturally a very bubbly, energetic person, but after a while, my energy levels do start to come down. And very recently, I did 1 or 2 small things for myself, and it didn't take 3 days. It was small things, 3 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. And honestly, when I came back, I felt so much better. I wouldn't have been able to get through this week. I couldn't have gotten through this day if, I didn't take a little bit of time for myself. So, Obakeng, it is difficult because mentally you need to convince yourself leaving your laptop for 3 hours is not going to be the end of the world. I spoke earlier about the concept of not managing time, but managing energy. The happiest version of me is the one that is able to deliver. So I want you to think about that concept as you go on your journey. They said it's admin. We can't mute anyone. So Ben says we achieve APC, then we celebrate. It has been a long journey. Cannot wait to celebrate with all of you. Thank you so much for that. So that was the what. Each of you are going to set up a plan for this next 7 months. You are going to have your big goal and your why and a strong why, but you're going to break it down into mini milestones that are going to be achievable. You're going to monitor those. You're going to make yourself accountable to someone so that it is easier for you to track this. You're going to look left and look right and rely upon each other in terms of that process. So this is your third and final piece of homework that you'll be discussing with your mentor or whoever you feel comfortable with. Team, we have reached the end. What are just some of the key things that I just wanted to remind you of? Continuous growth and consistency within this journey that you are on, being resilient and adaptable. So it isn't always going to be easy. You will need to dig deep. You're not always going to be motivated. Most of the time you're going to have to be disciplined. So discipline is what you need when motivation is wearing thin. So absolutely be resilient and adaptable, changing that plan as you go along. I'm thankful that I attended this whole session because I really think I understand, the program that Ede and team have put together. I believe you're absolutely empowered, resourced, and supported to get through this program as best as possible. So that was the last point. I'm just going to share my details on the next slide for those who are asking. So Tsungi says, thank you so much, rejuvenating and back to the drawing board. Absolutely, we are in a planning phase. So I've said here, stay in touch. I think the first thing that I have is my WhatsApp number. As I said, so that's my business number. If you have any questions, literally just feel like you want someone to chat to, please feel free to message me. I will get back to you as soon as I'm able to. And I know I said to you guys, I'm so busy, but the reality is it feels good trying to help someone or be there for someone. So please do reach out. I might not get back to you in 1 hour, but I certainly will make every effort to get back to you. So there is my number and a QR code if you want to scan that. For those that were asking about sessions, myself and the NG team have spoken, and they've said by virtue of you being part of this program, you may need different support. So what I have on the screen here is for those of you who are interested in one-on-one coaching during the course of this year, the 1 hour session would be appropriate for you. So individual coaching, if you feel like you want to speak specifically about you and figure out this path for yourself. So I've got the price there at 500, which is a discount for all of you guys. Someone has already sent me a WhatsApp. Thank you so much. The second point then is for those who are saying, okay, maybe that price is a bit steep. We want to figure out what you can do for us as a group. I'm going to come with my study group, and there are 5 of us, and we need to figure out something that is tailored for us. And I've got the price there as well for you guys, and we'll work together to figure out for the group what is it that the group is trying to achieve or wants out of that session. I've got my email address here for you, for everyone who is interested. If you follow this link, I'll share the slides with Ere. If you follow that link, it literally just goes to your email and says referral from Endunamo. So those are my details. I'm so grateful for your time this evening. I'm so grateful for your attention this evening. I have literally made it almost just in time. Ere said to me, if you finish by 9:15, that's not the worst thing on this planet. So with 4 minutes to spare, it looks like I'm almost done. So Tina says, thank you so much. We will make you proud. What a soothing and motivating session. Thank you so much to the EPC team. Absolutely. Thank you, team. How much do you charge? I've got that on the screen, Obaging. Tina says, do not view our statuses. Girl, don't worry. Tina, I'll be honest with you. I'm so busy wishing on my own statuses that I will not be looking at yours. Do I take medical aid? Unfortunately not. And guest says, thank you so much, Manuka. Ere, it looks like I have met your time requirement. With that, I'm going to hand back to you.
Thank you so much, Manuka. It was great having this session. I'm so grateful that also the candidates have found it to be very informative. This is truly great. But we truly appreciate your time. We appreciate all the insights you have assisted. For me, one of the one of the very nice aspects, which some of the 2 things which I took from the session. One is that facts, those we tend to want to bring ourselves down by having this big halo thing, and we don't even have facts, and that's great. And I also like the way you I call them pickup lines. Some have got those you say you wake up to a particular quotation, to whom much is given, much is expected. It's a great quote. Others it's music. I'm one of those. I wake up and blast it, and you're there. So I like that part of saying that, self-care. And I'm truly grateful that you were able to connect with the candidates, and like you're saying, collaboration for us is at Endunamo is just that. We believe that in that African proverb to say that a child is raised by the community. And for us, we're saying a CA will be developed by different hands. And we're grateful to have you, Manuka. And we're looking forward to the next session. So you're still going to have Manuka come through just before assessments kick in sometime in June. You will already have it on the calendar, as we said, that for us the overall aspect is to say that This is a comprehensive program. We believe that we are here to support you at every level to make sure that you become that competent professional. To make sure, I saw that obstacle. I catch feelings, Manuk. So this is. I saw an obstacle is Endunamo, and I'm hoping that we do not become your obstacle, and we throughout the different sessions we have with you. For me, as I'm on your side, by the way, I always say that I'm gonna do everything in my being to make sure that Fedi and team certify you. So that's what I'm here to make sure that I do everything in my being that you get certified. But for us at EPC as well, we want to make sure we certify you and you go and ace that ICAS and psych assessment. That's what matters. But I'm just going to take 5 minutes of your time. Thank you so much, Manuk. Just going to take 5 minutes of your time, team. So I'm not going to be more than 5 minutes, I promise. I just want to quickly show you the workspace is work in progress. The workspace which I was talking about in terms of saying that when we're saying that you're going to have a workspace where you'll be able to, for the mentorship, the team is still busy working on it. What someone said, please no OneDrive. It's not a OneDrive, it's a workspace. I believe it's also easy to maneuver. You're not going to have connection issues, but then the details will come through as we finalize the workspace. But the main idea is that on Saturday, when I was going through the working as an effective team, some of you guys asked me that I also we create a platform where you'll be able to choose your teams. So this is this is also where we have those candidates who had said that I would want you to assist me with teams, and you can also display my profile. So once we're done, this is going to be, you guys will have access to this, and you're able to engage with each other based on the different criteria for teams. And in terms of mentorship, once you're also done, there will also be a list of all the mentors here. They will be loaded once the workspace is ready. They will all be loaded here, and you'll be able to come and see the different profiles of the different mentors. And what we have done is as part of just how then do you get to select these mentors is that we've also done through a form. You'll know that we're big on forms. We've done through a form. The form doesn't require anything for you to access. The basic things which we normally need is to make sure that we identify you is the Endunamo student ID, is the is your email address. As you have noted, you need to complete the KMB form in order for you to be paid for mentorship. And the main reason is because, as we're saying that the same information, when I was saying that this is some of the guideline of how to select a mentor, we believe in making mirroring the information, that the same information which you're saying that you want Ere as a mentor, and Ere's profile will be there saying that this is Ere Rwani. She's the managing director. She's got 2 kids. She stays in Centurion. She loves running. She's apparently strict. So you'll get to just get that profile, and the KMB form assist us in getting that information. The first option here, I'm just trying, how do you enlarge here? Okay, great. The first option here, you'll see that it says that once you have completed the KMB form, is that you would have indicated that you want to be in the mentorship, and we would want us to recommend a mentor for you based on what you would have completed on your KMB profile. So maybe you, in terms of answering those questions. So if you've done this, when you complete this form, you will go and say recommend a mentor, and we will check your profile, and we'll go check the different mentors, the list of the mentors profile, and we'll be able to go and match you in line with that. And the second one is where you go to the list and say that no, I've completed a KMB form, but what I know is that I've gone through the list which I was showing you just now. Where is that list? Connections. Minimize this a bit. I've gone through this connection where the list is here, and now I know who my mentor, who I want to be my mentor. So the form will allow you to the second part, that's when you go and say select a mentor. And again, remember that and the other aspect is when you need to say that I actually want to express my interest to be in the mentorship, but you will need to first go complete your KMB profile in order for you for us to be able to gather the information to make sure that you're in the program. And again, as I was saying, that this is not the most preferred, but if there are any challenges or maybe the connections it's not as where you want at some point, you also have an option of saying that, no, I've been allocated a mentor, but I would like to change a mentor. And of course, in those, we always require you'll see in the guidance that we always need to get sufficient information substantiating the reason to want to change a mentor. And also, like I was saying, that we also need for you to share the feedback for how the mentorship is going. So you also will use the same form to do the same. So yes, I've got someone who's timing me. Apparently, I've got less than a minute left. So yes, so that's how the workspace is gonna be. We're gonna use the same workspace for both mentorship and how you can get connected to the teams. And it's for those who have not yet found team members or those who are still looking for team members. But you'll only be able to access the teams list if you completed to say that you want to your profile to be shared with the others for this for mentorship or for getting into a team. So you need to have selected that that option when you completed the KMB form. That's an overall, as I said at the beginning, throughout the session, once the workspace is ready, we'll first share the communication through the announcement tool, and then on that communication, we'll be letting you know of when that the workspace is going to be available and what you'll need in order for you to access the workspace and the timeline as to when you can then do so. Otherwise, so glad that we had a very fruitful session, and we look forward to making sure that we connect you with a mentor, and we look forward to having those coaching sessions again. And there were a couple of homeworks which Manuka gave you. I'm going to be popping in the groups once in a week or so to check on how they're going. But otherwise, thank you so much for gracing us this evening. We truly appreciate your time and have indeed a great evening. Sloka platform. We'll consider them. Maybe we must we must indeed go check Vame, then we'll enforce the team. Reinforce the team to make sure that they deliver in time. Thank you, Unknown. Do we have Manuka slides? I'm gonna ask, and then we'll share those with you as well.
Thank you, Ede. Thank you, team. Have a lovely evening.
Cheers. Thank you. Thank you so much,
Bye.
team. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.